Hey guys, welcome back to another video from the channel Learn From Basics. This is Joe here, and in our previous video we added a really cool graphic to our game's main screen, which is whenever you touch or hover over the buttons, they get bigger and change color, which according to me is a really cool graphic and is really simple to learn, but has all the basics which are really important to learn in programming or coding. Now, if you did not watch my previous video on how to make these really awesome graphics, then please do check out that video before you watch this one, which should pop up about right now over here. But if you did, then let's move on. Now, in any good game, whenever you click on a button, well, in most games, there's a loading screen that appears. And we are going to add a loading screen to our game. And the first button we're going to code is the help button, where when we click on help, there's going to be a loading screen and there's going to be a paper with the instructions of the game, which we will make up as we go through the game. Now, first of all, in order to include or insert a loading screen into the game, we need to make one. How do we make a loading screen? Well, most people think it's hard, but it's actually pretty easy. All you need to do in order to make a loading screen is simply add a bunch of frames and make them look accurate and kind of make them look like whatever's in each frame. When it comes to the next frame, make it look like it was the same thing and it actually moved a bit. And that's kind of how you make an animation. Making an animation is really simple. Basically what you do is you make some frames and you run through those frames really fast, and when you do this, it creates an illusion to the user which looks like whatever pictures are on the frame, those pictures are moving. Now, as I said, in order to make a loading screen, we use the same idea. We use a bunch of frames to make the screen load, and then we put some code so we go through those frames really fast, which, as I said, makes it look like those frames are actually combined and are a video. Now, fun fact, this is actually how most cameras work. When they take a video, cameras just snap pictures of, cameras just snap pictures really fast, and they combine those pictures and play those pictures together, which looks like a video. Now, I am going to give you a really easy but really cool way of making a loading screen, but always feel free to take what you learned in this tutorial and use what you learned to make your own loading screen, and comment down in the comment section down below to tell me how your loading screen was. But anyways, let's get to making a loading screen. First, we create a new sprite and let's name it loading screen. L-O-D-I-N-G. Screen. Now, our first frame is going to be completely black. So we're going to make our first frame, which is going to be completely black. And in order to do that, we're going to simply make a rectangle. And our next frame is going to be where there's going to be a gray rectangle. So there's going to be a gray rectangle. And since we want our first frame and our second frame, or our current frame and the frame behind that to be kind of similar, and since we don't want to mess up and we're always not perfect, we can simply just duplicate a frame or a costume using right click. Now, I want the other rectangle to be slightly brighter than the background, which is black. So I am going to make it gray. So this could be a good gray. We are going to put it in the center. Now what's going to happen is, so let me make this bigger first of all. So what's going to happen is, what we're going to do is, as the frames go on or as the screen loads, this gray rectangle is going to be filled up with a red line, and as the red line goes like this, and completely goes fully into, it turns the whole bar into red, and then that red line morphs into 4 different colors, and then those 4 different colors morph into the word success. Now, even though this might sound complicated, it's really simple. First, we duplicate this, and then since I want a red line to cover this whole gray line eventually, we're going to make another red rectangle. We're going to make it exactly as big as the other rectangle, and we are actually going to copy this. We can copy it by using copy. And then our outline, which this is really important, our outline has to be the same color as our fill. And now we duplicate this, we paste the picture, and we move the picture so it matches up with the other red rectangle. And as I said, the outline has to be red so it kind of blends in. You can either do this, or you can just select this rectangle and make it bigger. And then we duplicate it again, select the rectangle, make it a slightly bigger, duplicate this again, make the rectangle slightly bigger, duplicate this again, make the rectangle slightly bigger, and then the same thing over and over again. Duplicate, make rectangle bigger, duplicate, make rectangle bigger, duplicate, make rectangle bigger, and last but not least, our last one, duplicate, and then make the rectangle bigger so it fits the whole thing. Now, in case you don't know how to duplicate, well, it's simple. You click on the side you want to duplicate, or you hover over it, you right click, click on duplicate. Now, what we want to do next is we want this red rectangle to turn into 4 colors. Now, these 4 colors can be any colors, but since I like red, blue, orange, red, blue, yellow, and green, I'm going to use those 4 colors. So after this whole red line is completed, there's going to be another block that is going to be blue. So we're going to make another rectangle. This time it's going to be blue. And then we are going to make this rectangle big. We are going to make this rectangle as big as the red one. And now instead we're going to make it blue. And then we can do the same thing for the green and yellow, like this. We can do the same thing again. We can do the same thing for the green and yellow. We make it smaller, we line it up, and we make this green. Same thing with the yellow. Make it smaller, line it up, and make it yellow. Now this is one way we can do this loading screen, which is honestly not my favorite, but if you like this way, then you can continue with this. So you can make it yellow. But this is not my most favorite way, because it does have some flaws, because when we code this loading screen, there are going to be some flaws and it's actually not going to look that realistic. So we're actually not going to use this loading screen. But you can use it, but I just don't recommend using it. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to convert this into 4 separate squares, which are going to be red. And then in our next frame, 1 square is going to turn blue. And then in our next frame, one square is going to turn yellow. And in our next frame, one square is going to turn green. Now, in order to do that, you can either try to erase the middles so they look like squares, or you can just take a black rectangle and you can kind of cut in the centers. And then we can copy this and paste it. Do the same thing again. Copy and paste it. Do the same thing again. Now, as you can see, we have 4 squares. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this again. And as I said, this square is going to turn blue. So we're going to take the rectangle tool. We're going to make it blue, and we are going to try our best to make this rectangle match up with this rectangle. And now one of our squares turned blue. Then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to take the square tool, make it green, cover the whole square, and then another square of ours turned to another color. And then last but not least, yellow. Now, here's an easier way to do it. You can just copy this and paste it. You can try to match it up, and you can make it yellow. Now we have my 4 favorite colors, but feel free to change these colors to any of your favorites. Now, since we have these break up into squares, and since the squares turned other colors in each frame, in our next frame, all of these squares are going to morph into a line. And in order to do that, we are going to duplicate this. We are going to make this whole big bar smaller. Then we are going to make this smaller. We are going to make this smaller. And we are going to make this smaller. And then we are going to delete this background, or this gray rectangle which we had from our previous frames. Now we're going to take out these. We're going to take out these, and instead we are going to blend the lines in. So we are going to blend these lines in so they look like one straight line. And then we're going to have our last frame, which is going to say success. And we can type it in, success. And since I want my game to be old themed, I am going to use the pixel font. And then we can make this bigger. And we can make this a gradient from red to green, or any of your favorite colors. Or from yellow to red, which also looks cool. And now since we have success, our last frame is actually going to be so the success deletes itself, or the success disappears, and this line morphs into a square, a rectangle, a big rectangle. For that, you'll have to delete the black lines we made earlier. It's gonna morph into a rectangle, and in this rectangle, we're gonna type in press X to start in white. So press X to start. And then we can make it bigger. And if you think there is another better color that kind of stands out, then you can use that color, but I'm gonna use black because the white kind of blends into the yellow. Now we successfully made a loading screen. And in order to see this loading screen run, we are gonna use a little code. And that code is going to be events, when flag clicked, forever, next costume. And now see, what happens is our loading screen is successfully loading. But what's one of our problems? Well, One of our problems is the loading screens going so fast that we can't even see each frame. And in order to solve that problem, what we can do is we can go to control and we can say, wait, and instead of 1 second, we can say 0.3 or 0.2. So as you can see, our loading screen loads and then the colors turn, success. Maybe 0.3 is a better success. Press X to start. But what's another one of our problems? Well, the loading screen goes on forever and forever and forever in a loop because we put it in the forever loop. But it doesn't start when we click on the button help, but it starts when we click on the green flag because as you can see in our command over here, it says when flag clicked. So how do we code it so whenever we click on help, whenever we click on help, this loading screen runs one time and ends at start. Press X to start. Well, that code is going to be explained in our next video, friends. But that's all for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. And one more thing. As I said, your loading screen doesn't have to be exactly as mine. You can take whatever information you learned from this video and you can make a loading screen of your own. But that's all for today's video and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.